Thank you everyone for taking your seats. Welcome to our 11th annual Gala. درود به همه شما. خیلی خوش آمدید. My name is Weklai. I'm this year's chapter president of IABA Northern California. I wanted to start off by thanking our generous sponsors who are featured prominently in the program at your table. We're also privileged to have with us incredible guests of honor that are working for and supporting our communities. The Honorable Mayor London Breed of San Francisco, San Francisco Human Rights Commissioner, fierce leader and ally Hala Hijazi, San Francisco Board of Supervisor Asha Safai, San Francisco Public Defender Jeff Adachi, San Francisco Immigrant Rights Commissioner and our very own board member and delegate Nima Rahimi, Professor Bill King of USF Law, Maria Blanco, Executive Director of the University of California Immigrant Legal Service Center, and of course our keynote speaker, the Honorable Judge Irani Sani. We're so thrilled to have you with us. I'd also like to recognize the many parents and family that are in the room this evening. It means the world to us that the pillars of our community are here to celebrate. This is the largest dinner in our chapter's history, and I think it's a testament to the moment that we're in and the work that IABA and our chapter has done to step up and meet this moment. Iranian Americans, alongside other Middle Eastern, South Asian, Muslim, Arab, African American, Latino, and LGBT communities are facing alarming rates of discrimination, racism, and xenophobia locally and nationally. The opportunity through this moment, though, is that it has pushed us to deeply increase our community work, our legal advocacy, to build across diverse coalitions, and to realize that we're part of a broader movement. As you will see and hear this evening, IABA has pushed in many different ways to be at various policy tables locally, not just for our issues, but on issues impacting San Francisco and Northern California. We filed a lawsuit challenging the implementation of the ban, not just for Iranians, but on behalf of all individuals impacted by the ban. And we're pushing out a travel ban report that really documents the impact of what's happening. That's forthcoming. We feel and we see the struggle of the ban and family separation. Many people in this room have family members that are impacted by this, and it's pushed the boundaries of our work. Another exciting area that you'll hear and see this evening is the increase in student engagement and student events. And we have a record number of law students and students who are here this evening. And we doubled our scholarship efforts and had our first IABA summer law clerk. So really want to recognize our student director, Yasmin Bigdeli, for all that she's done to lead those efforts. We're of course so honored to recognize our awardees and our keynotes who are advocates, allies, and just fierce community leaders. So thank you again for joining us, and without further ado, I will turn it over.
See if this works. Good evening, everybody. My name is Babak Yousefzadeh. I am the IABA National President, and fortunate enough to also sit on the local chapter board with Alika and team. I also want to welcome you all here. And my job, you'll hear from me later this evening, so I won't get too much into much else, but my job and my honor at this moment is to introduce you to someone who, quite frankly, doesn't need much of an introduction, but I'm going to give you one anyway. Mayor Breed. In a few seconds, I'll be calling her. She's obviously the mayor of the city and county of San Francisco. She is the 45th mayor, but the first African-American woman in the history of the city. It's about time. Before being elected mayor, she was the acting mayor, given the sudden loss of Mayor Lee. Prior to that, she served on the Board of Supervisors for 6 years, including the last 3, where she was the president of the board. So she is no stranger to the city or its challenges. I want to share with you a few facts, 2 of which are really more for me than for you. But one fact I'd like to share with you is that Mayor Breed is a native San Franciscan. Absolutely. Raised by her grandmother in public housing in the Western Addition. And it'll be a testament to where she is today. And 2 other interesting facts that I found today, which I thought was fascinating. She graduated from undergrad from my alma mater, UC Davis. And then she went on to graduate with her master's from my second alma mater, USF. So apparently we're on the exact same career trajectory, you and I. Mayor Breed is no stranger to the city or the challenges or the minority communities that are impacted in the city, among which are the commitment that she has shown to the Amemsa community. For those of you that are not familiar with that, it's Arab, Middle Eastern, Muslim, South Asian community. So, and actually before I go any further, now that I've brought up Amemsa, I do also want to recognize Hala Hijazi. She is a San Francisco Human Rights Commissioner, and quite frankly, under her leadership, our community and the Amemsa community has done amazing work. We've worked with the police chief, with the district attorney's office, and of course, with our new mayor, as we have with administrations past, to be on the forefront of issues affecting our minority communities and to protect the civil rights and the human rights and the constitutional rights of our communities and every other impacted community. That said though, IABA, while it's certainly dedicated to protecting the rights of our community and the Amemsa community, it's certainly not limited to that, as Elika was just mentioning. We really work hard to try and advance the rights of all communities, anyone impacted, African American, Hispanic, Latino, LGBTQ, any vulnerable population. If the last 2 years have taught us anything, it is that if something affects some of us, it obviously affects all of us. And we have to stand together and we have to protect each other. And as an example, that's why when children were being separated from their parents at the border, IABA NorCal attorneys were among those at the border trying to help. And while IABA is a national organization, its efforts often start locally, and San Francisco is one of our most critical hubs for action. San Francisco is a thought leader, it is a center of values, and believe me, right now is a good time to advance some of those values. That's why it's an honor to have the great leader of such a city with us tonight. We need somebody with drive, vision, and determination to help us continue to fight for what's right and to continue to fight against the constant division and fear that's coming out of other parts of this country. What we critically need is leadership that will stand up for all of our communities, including the ones reflected in this room tonight. Now, if you ever heard Mayor talk, you'll know that she is committed to these causes, and you know that she has no qualms fighting for the things that she is committed to. And we look forward to working with her, as we have with past administrations, on the many issues affecting our community. We look forward to the Amemsa community to be on the forefront and to work with you in continuing to do our important works. I now present to you the Honorable Mayor Breed.
Thank you. It is truly an honor to be here with all of you tonight. Thank you so much for welcoming me. This beautiful building, which is absolutely incredible at night to have a party in. So tonight we celebrate, but there is still, as we know, so much work to be done. I want to start by thanking the board, the organizers, and the folks who are involved. Thank you to Alika, Babak, and Nima for your commitment to driving this cause, and thank you for your leadership in giving us all an opportunity to celebrate IABA's incredible, important work to recognize extraordinary leaders in this effort. I cannot emphasize how important it is to support our Arab, Middle Eastern, and Muslim and East Asian communities. So I'm excited about the work that we are going to do together with the MEMSA. We're going to carry on Mayor Lee's legacy. We know that he started this working with Commissioner Hijazi, who also went to UC Davis for undergraduate school. And the whole point of coming together is to address some of the injustices that we all know have been really things that have been heightened since the other 45 got elected back in 2016. And the reason why I think this turnout is so great is because we all realize how important it is for each and every one of us to come together when it comes to fighting injustice. And there have been so many challenges, and I don't want to even start on the path of talking about what's happening with the Supreme Court nominee and all of those issues that continue to, even though they are challenging times, it is also bringing so many of us together. So many like-minded individuals who care about the civil rights of other people. I grew up in very humble beginnings, and I actually grew up, as was said, in public housing where I felt really neglected. I felt in some ways that I wasn't necessarily welcomed in other places in San Francisco. And I was really lucky to have a strong community. Even though there were a number of challenges, people came together to support me, which is why I ended up in college in the first place. So the scholarship program that you are providing to help cultivate the next generation of leaders to help in the challenges that we face is absolutely incredible. You're not just thinking about what we're doing now, you're thinking about the future, which is why there are so many law students here tonight to celebrate with all of you. The work that you do is incredibly important, and so as mayor, I will continue to be very supportive and also count on you when we need you, when we face challenges. A few years ago, we all remember that time before Supervisor Safai got on the board of supervisors, where we had a number of young kids who were coming, into San Francisco, escaping some of the most horrible conditions where they had no parents, they had no adult supervision, they had no support, and you stepped up to the plate. The San Francisco Board of Supervisors immediately appropriated financial support to attorneys to help in those particular efforts. And I know that our public defender continues to be a force for our immigrant communities at the borders, where sadly we know what's happening to this very day, where kids are still separated from their parents. It is just really criminal for someone to do this, to separate families in this way. And so I am in this with you because we need each other. The way we fight these battles is by standing strong together and supporting one another. We can't stand in the sidelines because it's not happening to our community. If it's an attack on another human being, it's an attack on all of us. So we must all continue to step up to the plate and fight. And so I want to thank you for your advocacy and the work that you are doing now and the work that we are going to continue to do together. And I want to also, again, recognize Jeff Adachi, who has not only been a fierce leader in this effort. When I was a kid, he was one of the few public defenders who was walking through public housing defending so many people that I grew up with. And he's still going strong, defending the rights of others, and it means so much. So thank each and every one of you for being here tonight. Have a wonderful time and enjoy.
Thank you, Mayor Breed. Thank you, everyone, for being here this evening. I'm Sobel and a board member of IABA Northern California chapter. As a first-generation Iranian American, I'm truly honored to present Mariko Hirose with the International Refugee Assistance Program, our Community Service Award. In addition to being one of the key organizations that successfully sued to block the travel ban, IRAP has also recently sued on behalf of a class of Iranian refugees who are religious minorities. The class of Iranians received mass denials for their refugee applications. The lawsuit was filed here in Northern California in the district court in San Jose, where IRAP successfully obtained an order against the government. Thank you, Mariko, for your tireless advocacy to protect the rights of refugees and the Iranian community. IABA also worked with Assembly Member David Chu to provide you with a certificate of recognition. Please come up.
Good evening, and thank you so much. It's an honor to accept this award on behalf of all of my brilliant and dedicated colleagues at the International Refugee Assistance Project. The work for which you are so graciously honoring us tonight is in many ways symbolic of the past 2 years. In the first, Iraq versus Trump, we, along with many fellow advocates, went to court to fight the first, second, and third versions of the travel ban, each of them unlawful. We won twice in the district court, twice in the Court of Appeals, only to be dealt a huge setback by the Supreme Court earlier this year when it decided in June that the most recent version of the ban was likely lawful, and this allowed families to continue to be separated across oceans for reasons that are completely obvious to us, for no reason other than pure discrimination and animus. In the second case, Doe v. Nielsen, we, again supported by many advocates, went to court to challenge the mass denial of refugee status to a group of Iranian religious minorities who had already abandoned their homes in Iran at the invitation of the US government and had traveled to Vienna, Austria to complete their refugee applications under a special provision in US law created to protect this group of people. They had reasonably expected that they would travel in a few months to reunite with their family members here in the United States, but in February, around 90 of these people, these families, received mass denials as a matter of discretion. We won in the district court in July, forcing the government to rescind the mass denials and reconsider them. Sadly, a few months later, all of our clients still remain stuck in Vienna in an uncertain and untenable situation, and we are continuing to fight that case in court. These cases evoke very strong feelings in me, and tonight I wanted to share them with you. And first is grief. I know that many of you must feel it more strongly than I do, as this administration has targeted your community and discriminated against your community. That's not to say that this discrimination is new, but it is something different to say that in 2018, the highest court of this land gave approval to that discrimination. Perhaps some of you have family members who have been affected by this administration's cruel policies, whether it's the ban or the various refugee bans. I have the privilege not to be directly affected and impacted in the way that many of you or our clients have been. But in my own migration story, I came to this country, actually came to this city, San Francisco, when I first came to the United States, full of hope that here I could fit in and fulfill my aspirations, the so-called American dream. And even as I came to learn very quickly that it's called a dream for a reason, and that this country is built on the backs of Native Americans, African Americans, and so many other oppressed people, I held out hope that America was at least aspiring to higher ideals and advancing to a better place. So I'm grieving what is happening to this country right now, for the families who have been separated, and for our clients who remain in danger every day. And I'm grieving that even though we have won so many times in court, at the end of the day, we seem not to be able to do quite enough to help our clients. But as the mayor said tonight is a time to celebrate. And so I want to end on a note that grief is not my only response to the past 2 years. There's also a very strong theme here, and that has been inspiration. I have been so inspired by the resilience that I have seen in communities like yours and across the country. The core of what I love about this country still exists, and that is organizations like the one that I work for, communities like yours, and numerous other advocates, immigration lawyers, and all of the people across the country who are fighting every day. In Japan, where I'm from, there's a sense of acquiescence, and when something is wrong, we tend to say, well, yeah, that seems unfair, but that's the way it is. And here, there's a tradition of people standing up to fight. We saw it in the tens of thousands of people who showed up spontaneously at the airports to protest the ban the night that it came out. And I see it every day in my colleagues, in my clients who are willing to file a case in court against the strongest country in the world, and in all of the advocates who are moving the work forward every day despite the setbacks. So at the end of the day, I see no choice but to be resilient so that we can keep fighting for the country that we can be proud of. And it is people like you who give us all the resilience to carry on. So thank you so much for your support, and please keep supporting our work. Thank you.